Hi, I'm the nun who sold her Ferrari and who now even has fins. I'm Sonia, and it's great having you. So what is it all about this nun and Ferrari and the fins? Well, I used to be an investment banker, and then I went to have a monk-like training in Indian ashrams. I returned to the cities and the corporate world to create leadership strategies based on Western and Eastern sciences of the mind for the digital VUCA world. And today, it's about travel and work, and maybe both. So let's talk about this destination. It is the Maldives. And then about the digitalization in work, yes? Now, COVID-19 and 2020 had serious issues, and it made it really, really difficult for many people. Are you one of them? For me, it was also a challenge. I lived on 3 continents, 5 countries, and I traveled 40 countries, of which I stayed for more than 1 month to really get to know local life and 4 countries in detail. Now, 2020, everything is different. Most countries are a high risk, and we needed and still need to make our choices, where to go, what to do, and what not to do. Clearly, one of my choices was now to be on the Maldives. And this also had a rationale. Maldives are really small islands with very few people, and literally everything is outdoors. And there's lots of space, and social distancing is easy around here. And obviously coming here, it involved a flight, which I managed with my Living God mask, which you already know from Frankfurt, and also surgical gloves and many wipes. And in order to come to the Maldives, every passenger who does actually get even on board a flight, so it's a check before getting on board, needs to have a negative PCR test. So it helps not only knowing that everybody around here at least has been tested negatively coming here, but also everybody on board the plane must have been negative, at least at the time of taking the test. Then now, what are the health and safety measures around here? It's obviously the same. We're still doing the washing the hands and all these things, but I took like some very special precautions to come to the Maldives. So important points to bring, like my mask, and then the fins I already talked about, and most important, a snorkel, because I didn't want to take anybody else's snorkel. And this is pretty much all the same rules, plus the additional points to actually work around the Maldives. So I don't know who already has been in the Maldives. Anybody has been around already? In fact, I was already here in 2004, and if many people actually remember, Southeast Asia at the time was hit by a tsunami. And lucky at the time, because I always traveled home for Christmas, and in order to be with my family, and in particular my mother, I actually left the day before. And coming here now is beautiful to see how the island actually has recovered. Looking at the Maldives from a cultural point of view, Maldives is a Muslim country. And having lived in Egypt and having traveled in Indonesia, both of which are also Muslim countries, it's really interesting and important to understand that one always needs to be respectful of cultures, and in particular when we are guests in another country. Now I'm in the amazing Ayada resort. and it's beautiful. The water temperature is more like a bathtub, and the coral reefs literally just start meters into the ocean. And while there are many fish around, which unfortunately I know absolutely nothing about. And my niece Leonie, whose fins I actually have, she already at 3 years old knew all the types of fishes and the names in order to impress her father. I can tell you, I was back then impressed and even more impressed now, as it's important to know the fish you encounter, like I did this morning. It was a small shark, and I think he was more scared about me than the other way around. But again, I was respectful and I didn't follow it. It was very different actually in Belize, which is another country I went to a long time ago. And I also went out snorkeling, and it was very clear we would see sharks. And I thought, like, okay, sharks, that sounds interesting. And apparently, they're nurse sharks, and nurse sharks are friendly, and they're not dangerous because supposedly they actually eat at night. And this is all well and good. It really helped me to think and focus on that. But then there was that moment when I was literally surrounded by these nurse sharks. And I was thinking, well, like the night before, I actually got up and really felt a little peckish, and I had a little snack from the fridge. I really hope that sharks were much more actually adhering to their eating times than I was. And luckily I was. So here the shark was very friendly and left me alone, clearly, as here I am, ready to present to you the beauty, which is for me the important part, is actually the coral reefs. I really love the vibrant colors of the coral reefs, and it's really important, as much as it's beautiful and it's mesmerizing, not to actually touch them, because if you touch them, then something like that will happen, and they actually die, and also they lose their color. And even if you do take the dead one homes, please don't, because the beautiful beach which you see is actually built from all these corals as well. So again, respect for the local um, traditions, cultures, and nature is really, really important. Another fish which we have here is dolphins, and swimming with the dolphins is really, really amazing. And because of the water is so much warmer than where I did it the first time, which was in New Zealand, with 10 degrees cold water, even in a neoprene dress, that did really not help to actually keep me warm enough. And over here, it's really enjoyable, not just during, but even after swimming with the sharks. There are many more sporting activities you can do, like kayaking, stand-up paddling, and all those beautiful things, which are very different to the kind of activity which I can do when I'm, well, in one of the countries I've normally lived in. One of the things which is also important for me, in particular when I stay for a longer period of time, is my food and my diet, because I adhere to a sattvic diet. And for those who are not familiar with the concept, that is very much like vegetarian or kind of a vegan diet. And most people know it. It has become very fashionable as well. And also around here, they're really, really good with the restaurants. And even more importantly, all the vegetables are actually freshly grown on the island itself, because some islands in the Maldives are really small and they're just sand. But this one actually is absolutely beautiful. It has the beach, but it also has some lushes inside of the island, which is really stunning and amazing. So around here, it's called the Secret Garden, which obviously isn't so secret as I've already been there. And it's they grow all the vegetables around here fresh, which is wonderful for me in order to have this not only from the freshness of the food I'm eating, but also thinking in terms of an environmental aspects, which in particular today we need to consider. And with global warming being a threat, and Maldives just being literally centimeters above the sea level, any kind of rise on the sea level is obviously a threat for this beautiful paradise. So the resort, the Ayada Resort, is taking many steps from an environmental take, how it deals with water, growing their own vegetables, and many other aspects are really here to make sure that we can actually enjoy this beauty as well a little bit longer, and also do not destroy as we're actually enjoying it. Another aspect, which is one of my favorites, is the spas, which obviously are amazing around here. And even so, I do a lot of yoga. I love the massages, and in particular the Thai massage. While a massage in general, I think, is kind of like weightlifting for the lazy ones, because someone else is stimulating the muscle. A Thai massage is like yoga. It stretches the muscle, and someone else is doing all the work for you. So getting basically the best of both worlds. And one of the things which we said, we're going to talk about the beauty of the Maldives and what it all entails. I will now also take you into what is the working aspect, and how do we now work in this day and age as well with remote working. And I'll show you my remote working and my office. And while I get there, you will actually get some impressions of the island. Enjoy, and see you in the office. Bye. So here we are back again. And now we are actually in the office. And as you can see, there is the pool behind me and all the amenities which we already talked about are taking place. But let's have a look at what actually has all changed due to digitalization, but really as well, which was really fast forwarded by somewhere between 3 to 5 years through COVID-19 as well. So the core theme which I've been working on for the last 7 years has been authenticity and servant leadership in the digital VUCA world, which I'm just finishing a chapter on the topic in a scientific book, Leading in a New VUCA World, together with Towards Sustainable Future, which is edited by Satinder Shiman and Joan Mackay from the Woodbury University in the US. Next year, I'm also planning to launch a similar book with the same topic, really, but just gearing it to the corporate world itself, which is normally my target audience, because this is where I came from, and people see my experience in the old world, the new world, and a different world they're actually not familiar with as really, really helpful. So everything is around how digitalization changed how we work. And now we're going to be looking at practical aspects about it, including the remote working. And what would it be like for you if you would not be in the home office, but really did remote working? What would be your ideal workplace if it would be anywhere you wanted? Where would you do your work hours? Some might want to go into the mountains, some to the ocean and the warmth, and others actually really like just to stay with family. So now, in a way, many things are possible. And in the past, that was also possible. We mustn't forget that. And in a way, this is how I worked and changed my work style as well. As I used to work in the financial markets, in foreign exchange and emerging markets, with really large scale offices with 700 people. And it was really noisy, really, really busy. And then I changed and I left the markets in order to really find out what the corporate world could actually be gaining with some additional knowledge in order to make it better. The missing link, which I didn't have to really make the success much more sustainable for the future as well. So I studied Western sciences for the mind in various formats. Classrooms, as we're all familiar with, but already as well in online formats. A really major change for me was when I went for a monk-like training, and this, well, basic training of 1,750 hours was in India in an ashram. And let me tell you, this was really, really different. And so we already had the choices even some years ago, but it was an either or. And we had to make a choice. We could not be in the one place and the other, but it had to be a decision. But now, given that we have the remote working as a possibility in many jobs, there is actually a possibility to work with my favorite word, which is and. And sometimes we actually do need to decide, and it is really important to have the distinction on what it is we're really deciding on and what it is we truly want, and decide on that. So And what we truly want, that is a part of actually what my vision is. And that is that people wake up in the morning knowing who they are, what they want, and most important, having the tools to actually action it as well. And this is where clarity is really, really important. It allows us for new ways that sometimes can combine or even complement each other. Now we have both. You can work almost anywhere, or actually anywhere in the world. It depends obviously on your setup. A really good example is mindful clarity, which has obviously one-on-one coaching and seminars, and these are already done on the different continents and countries, and are indeed face-to-face, where it is with the client, whoever is looking to expand their leadership styles or sales aspects, can have this in their own offices. Yet there's also the Mindful Clarity Academy. What is that? Well, it is very similar. So many seminars with additional videos to support it, and even tests and certification. Mindful Clarity can be done literally anywhere by anybody. And we also have, with Mindful Clarity, live webinars such as the Mind Engineering or the Science of Happiness, which is based on the Greater Good Science Center from the Berkeley University, which, by the way, next Monday we are streaming with Aida being in Frankfurt and myself being on the Maldives, to our clients who are actually coming in from different countries, different continents, in order to follow what it is, what we can do different, and get to understand aspects about how much we actually are in control on what is happening in our life. So as you see, in a way, nothing is lost through digitalization, but to the contrary, additional ways of learning and growing have been added, and I think this is simply like amazing. Now, as the working style really through digitalization has changed for good, what does the digitalized world actually mean, and why a lot of people are actually fearful about it? And is that actually needed? Or isn't that actually a huge opportunity for us as well? So if we are looking at it as well, in the past, basically, if we wanted to be successful, what did it need? It literally needed simply to, well, know more, that's for sure, and being faster in doing something. But those two things, this is the epiphany of what a computer does for us, right? It will always know more because it learns instantaneously, and anything which is being discovered anywhere in the world. And as well, it's going to be super, super fast, unless, you don't actually have a working internet. But these things are obviously being taken by computers. But what does that actually allow us? It allows us to be what we are best in, and that is our USP, our unique selling point. It is being human. Being human. And being human has literally many effects. And this is what we want to look at as well, and what that actually means in the broader surrounding as well. And what was it in the past where we said where once we were actually really good by knowing more? And that is how it was in the industrialized world. the Industrial Revolution brought people into machines and into the process of machines. And the people actually had to surround themselves through the way how machines were actually working. And the machines were dictating the speed as well. But now it's different. Again, humans are actually taking advantage. And in the digitalized world, we can actually do this human thing. But let us go back and see as well, like maybe we can learn something from somewhere else where this may have existed already. And that is Graf von Moltke, a Prussian army general who back in the 1860s already had a very particular issue. Due to technological changes, the old wartime strategies didn't work any longer. Sounds familiar? It's exactly what we have in the digital world. And it's exactly what we want to learn from as well. So Graf von Moltke was actually seeing that because in the old days, it was a command and control, where the people in the army were simply executing exactly what was being said without questioning anything, because the army would be moving forward and the generals would actually be staying behind, that the officers actually needed to be able to think for themselves with the information which was present to the officers, but not to the general. Very much like we have in the digital age now, right? So with information being changed so quickly, and as we know that information in a company, as much as we like to think the CEO knows everything, information we know doesn't actually travel up. It is pressure which is actually coming down and is being compounded on the way down. And as pressure is being compounded, actually information upward is being withheld. So very often, this has led to, throughout period of time it actually took, that the C-suite actually got the important information. However, now we are in a situation that changes are so fast, we don't have the luxury anymore that information eventually does actually reach us. So what is the next thing which we can do? Well, how about this story where the CEO actually needs to decide on what the color of the carpet in a conference room is? It's obviously silly, right? But in a way, this is exactly what happens. Because people are, throughout the industrialized age, had to deal with smaller and smaller boxes. And this is the only place which they were allowed to actually make decisions on, in the small box. And they were controlled in the small box. So now in the digitalized world, where everything is changing so fast, it's really important that the people who actually have the information are the ones who are actually making the decision as well. And that leads to what we need in the digitalized world is a different leadership theory as well, which I'm proclaiming is the authentic and servant leadership. And that is to actually support everybody who is working on a project because they know best. And as the manager or the CEO, I'm here to actually support them, give them the freedom, but also to inspire them to give them the direction they need, and in order to then decide, as their information is coming in, as they're on the front line, so to speak, with the client, with the new information, to actually act on it as well. And for that, they really need to be empowered. And this is where servant leadership is so, so important. In order to do that, I want to come back again to the leadership model, which I would like to base on Graf von Moltke. So Graf von Moltke, with his command and communicate, already back then has found a way on how to change this. It's not the control anymore, but it's the communication. And in that communication lies the inspiration for the people. But what does it take in order to inspire people? First of all, I need to have clarity inside myself to what's really important, what it is, the vision I actually have. I need to be clear about it for myself. And then I need the second part of communication, which is the external communication. So now, how do I actually inspire the people? How can I actually bring this across? And this is where I always say I'm like the Swiss Army knife with its various tools, and which are really, really, in a way, easy, but very efficient and effective to bring around that ability to the people to bring that across. So on the internal tools, there is a lot about understanding about how the conscious and the unconscious mind works. So it's a lot about the understanding, like that not only the computer needs an upgrade every, let's say every year, this one also needs an upgrade because the unconscious mind continues to run us, and not really our response, but our emotion to a certain situation. So I need to be aware of it. I need to understand the program which is running here. And very similar, which I always say, because I used to be a foreign exchange options trader, it's like a formula. And the same way as an options trader has the options formula, that formula is with very good intention based on 7 basic assumptions. All of them are wrong. So now what do I do with that formula? I can obviously chuck it out, but then what do? I still don't have a way forward. I actually can work on taking the goodness and being aware about where the pitfalls are and really adjust it. So this is what in the options formula we did with risk reversal straddles and strangles, because there are trends in the equity market, for example, or some news comes out and things are really going wild. So we can actually help it, even though it isn't quite perfect. Perfect is a good idea, but until we reach really perfection, which it's not really possible, in particular not when things are changing so quickly as we have it now in this VUCA world, which is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And obviously that's what the options formula is there for the volatility and for that chaos which it has in the underlying. Now, as I understand, the option formula is not working 100% right. I also need to understand that the unconscious mind, with all the wonderful ways in order to support us the best way possible, and it's really an amazing tool which we can actually use to help us on our day-to-day lives as well, but also has its flaws, and I need to be able to have that awareness on it in order to manually stop it and intervene as well. And then what it's called, well, I call it focused attention in the corporate space, which we obviously want because we do understand as well that supposedly our attention span, because of all the digital world, has come down to a staggering, what do you think? How long is your ability to really stay focused? It is 5.6 seconds. Yeah. So which problem did you understand and let alone solve within 5.6 seconds? Exactly, none of them. So we need something which is a little bit better. So we need focused attention. And focused attention is my Western world for basically meditation, because that's what meditation is. It is not thinking, which most of the people think, but it is actually the contrary, the ability to steer your thoughts. We have 70 to 100,000 thoughts per day. 90% of them are repetitive. Just think what you could do if you could control your thoughts, you could control your thoughts. You could come up with so many solutions. And this is what the meditation will bring, and with it, the breathing. The breathing, which helps me to actually get calm, to compose, and to get that clarity, which we need as a first step to really inspire others. And once we have that clarity, we understand as well what is being triggered in that unconscious mind, in that amygdala, and that cascade of emotion, thought, action. And then take control of it. Because with that action and with the speaking and the external communication as well, this is how we actually inspire people. And the tools which I push forward is the first one, to convey a mission, and that is using Milton language. Milton language is to keep it a clear picture without too much of the details to get people confused, so that people can actually take their information which they have in order to fill it out as appropriate. And then there is the storytelling and the metaphors, which are so powerful. And being able to do that is another part which we are focusing at Mindful Clarity on. Because the same way as we have taken the metaphor of the options formula in order to understand how this model works, to understand this algorithm, the same way we have many different metaphors which help us to understand complex situations in a very simple way. And the next part which we have is we need an additional understanding about, has the other person really understood what it is, what is going on. And this is basically using meta language and active listening to really understand what is the person giving me as a feedback, what is the person suggesting, what is coming actually from that. And there as well, while the tools are very much on the communication style, and we all had the presentation training as well, but the most important part about it, because only 7% of what we're actually bringing across in a presentation are the words, but 93% are literally the body language and tonality. And what is tonality? Tonality has all to do with breathing. So you remember the breathing, which is important to get the clarity for the internal communication. I also need that for the external communication, because many people, while they're working for days and days on their presentations and looking into various ways on how to really bring their message across, are looking at the words. What is absolutely not being looked at and considered in the Western world is how it actually works with the breathing. The breathing is really important, because the unconscious mind, which is listening on a level of detail which we couldn't do on a conscious level. And that is immediately recognizing as well, like if someone is really calm and really convinced about what it is they're saying, or if someone actually is lying. And sometimes people are actually not lying, they're just nervous and don't know how to actually manage this as well. And what happens biologically when people are nervous, the same thing happens as if we were in the fight and flight situation out in the savannah back in the ancient times, when we're out and about. and it's an anthropological thing. So the body is still responding in the same way. So what happens, I'm being stressed, whether it's a saber-toothed tiger or I have to present to like 100 people, the same thing really happens. So I'm being stressed. I need to get ready for fight and flight. And that means my heart starts beating faster in order to pump the blood faster to the arms and legs to do the fighting and the running. But it's not really needed there. And what I'll say happens is it doesn't actually bring it up here where we really need it, where we need to get the thinking done as well, right? So this old fight and flight isn't working, and we need to control it in order to get our calm, to be able to think, but also in order to be able to speak properly as well. So the same way as I'm being stressed because I'm presenting and I'm nervous, it's the most important point for people actually presenting. They're more afraid of public speaking than of actually death. Can you imagine? The most important thing people are scared about is public speaking rather than death. Who would have thought? So with all this stress going on, people really like start being stressed, and they're not breathing really. They're breathing back in the stress mode because that's the physiology. This is how biology really works. And what also happens is the breathing goes higher because it doesn't need all the other functions anymore. And it just works on the pumping. And as the breathing is higher, then also the tone of the pitch goes higher. Remember, 93% is body language and tonality. So with the pitch being higher, people recognize that in their unconscious mind, and anything which is being said is being deemed as, well, a lie. Certainly not credit worthy. So all the preparation has been done basically for naught. So controlling your breathing, whether you're a yogi or whether you're a CEO, is so important. And you think this is like kind of a new age something? Margaret Thatcher has been a very prominent example of that because she had not much of a career really until she actually had teaching about how to breathe while speaking. And then find it amazing way, like the voice came down, her credibility increased, and her career skyrocketed into the stratosphere, so that she even back then became a female prime minister of the UK, which was today still an unusual thing, but back then it was even more outstanding. So this brings together a lot of the things which mindful clarity is actually bringing across to people, whether it's face-to-face or now because of the remote working, which is possible for the coaches. I'm sitting here on the Maldives. I have Zoom calls in order to train the people on their individual topics in, again, one-on-ones or live webinars. Again, you're really welcome to join us on Monday on the Science of Happiness from Berkeley University as well, to understand what it is you can do. And you're dialing in from wherever you are. You don't need to come to us. We don't need to come to you. You can actually do this now anywhere. Your access to knowledge, ability to learn and to understand and to deal has been, thanks to the digitalized world, been so much enhanced. And as much as we obviously have been struggling with, because it's a change, and humans, again, from anthropology, we don't like change because it's a huge energy consumption. And back in the days when we didn't have a waiter serving us a beautiful meal, back then we needed to conserve our energy. So we wanted things the way it was done. So the reluctance again, as an understanding, it's normal. We don't like change. However, obviously, there is no other species on the planet which has been so amazing in actually becoming the top of the range by working on change and mastering it in such an amazing space. So again, it's one of the amazing parts which you can do. You can access me or anybody else literally from your home, from your convenience as well. And so this is the important part which is wanted to come across about what you can all do, and that you have all the various possibilities, one-on-ones, webinars, or the online academies, which you can do at whatever time zone you are in as well, and at your convenience. So the next part, what I want to do as well is, I want to show you my setup as well. So you see this office, which I've been talking about, and all the advantages as well. So now this is my lounge chair to really chill out. This is the office setup. Oh, you see the paddling board back there? That's for the morning, after breakfast and before work. And here, the little chill out area, the pool. And now let's go to the beach, because that's what the important part is. Remote working, allowing us to be anywhere and doing anything, well, almost anything, but it will become hopefully more and more. And you see me going through my screens and coming to the ocean and the beach. You can see it's not very busy, as there's one more person there, another person back there, and ooh, now I got wet feet. Did you too? Well, maybe this is one thing which you want to try out one day and actually work on remote working and get the dress wet and work along here. There are many different places which I will be working from, and I have been doing from the past. And hopefully the digitalized world will give you also the opportunity to work in this amazing environment, which the world actually is. Now the world is our oyster, and we can work anywhere with most of the things. And back in the old days when I was in the financial markets, the phone would ring and I would actually have to answer, solve any problem, actually in London. And it disturbed my holiday. Now it's the other way around. Now I'm working, and in a way, I'm on holiday. And just having this as my workplace, at least for a few more days, and then we will see where I will be working next from. I hope you're going to be tuning in on Monday as well, and for the Science of Happiness from Berkeley University, or any other program. And I will tell you always exactly where I am and what it is I'm doing, and hope to see you there. I'll leave you with a few more of the beautiful views which the Maldives has on offer. It's these amazing coral beaches, and with occupancy really low, with 20% maybe. It is a place to be. There are special offers, whether it's somewhere like, for example, my hometown, which is Frankfurt, or as well on the Maldives to come and work in the hotels. In Frankfurt, you rented like a hotel for the day to work from 9 till 5. Here, you actually can stay overnight, also work from 9 to 5. You see some people going for a snorkel, which, well, I will do shortly as well. I've been doing enough working for today, and the sun is still out and want to enjoy that as well. And I wonder, have I inspired you? Are you actually looking what is possible and what is not possible? And which one is really which? Which one is only the past? And which one is just, oh, we've always done it like that? And just embrace the change as something positive, the ability to make life as good as it's really possible. And see it as an opportunity to enhance your life, enjoy it, and really get to grow as a person and have the best life you can have. And that can be true whether you're a CEO or whether you are, oh, I'm just the little man down on the street. Yep, we all have our opportunities now. We just need to think about it, what we really can do. And once you've made that decision, I hope you will let me know if someone actually changed their life. If you need help to change your life, let me know. If you are a CEO and you need change in your organization, let me know. And I will leave you with more of this beautiful scenes as well. And I hope to see you soon, somewhere on Earth. All the best, and see you soon.